Pantheism and Panentheism. So, if you're not familiar with either of these terms, pantheism basically is the concept that God is identical and is the universe or the cosmos. Okay? And this is a very interesting idea. Basically, instead of the concept of a creator God that is separate from its creation, this is implying that the creation is no other than God. And I think this makes a lot more logical sense, even within the doctrines that are typically subscribe to the separate creator God. Because even in like something like Christianity, and there's many other religions that hold these characteristics of God, but in Christianity, some of the characteristics of God include being omniscient and omnipresent, and omnipotent. So if God is omnipresent, theoretically, then that would mean that God is everywhere. That's what that means. So, and there's a contradiction there to say that God is separate from its creation. Because if God is separate from its creation, then it's not everywhere, right? Because it's separate from its creation. And if God is omniscient, meaning God knows everything, then everything that is known by everybody is known by God. So what's the difference between what we consider to be the witness or the observer in our head and God? What's the difference? And if God is all powerful, then what would prohibit or what would keep God from being the universe? I mean, you could argue maybe just because God is all powerful doesn't mean that God would choose to be the universe. But why would what would prohibit God from wanting to become the universe? What would and also be, and what also would be an explanation for the omnipresence of God, yet how could God be everywhere, right? And also there be space for anything but God? Because wherever that space is, it would be occupied by God itself. So I think this is a really cool concept, and I think we see in some Eastern philosophies and religions, we see something like this. But then we also have something called panentheism, and panentheism is somewhat similar. However, it doesn't say that God is identical to the cosmos. It says that God is greater, yet includes the cosmos and penetrates the cosmos. So basically, it's like pantheism and plus more. So there's the element of God being the cosmos, but also the element of God being more than that. I think this is really interesting. You know, when we look around us and we see the world, it's just utterly ineffable. And we come up with all of these ideas and concepts and theories and philosophies and scientific theories, and this all seems to demystify it. And once it's demystified, once this is all demystified, then if you're gonna be a theist, then you're creating a boundary between this, which is the demystified mundane, and the divine. You're creating that division because of the demystification and the indoctrination that of what we've been told to believe, and those beliefs have taken the place of a mystery. And when we look around and we look at it with open and fresh eyes, then the divinity of everything becomes much more apparent. The mysteriousness becomes apparent, and that's where we open up the doors to real spirituality, in my mind, because we're starting to actually erase that imaginary line between the mundane and the divine. So I think it's a really good idea if you're getting into spirituality, if you're getting into personal development, if you're just somebody who's a truth seeker, and if you haven't looked into or researched the concepts of pantheism and panentheism. I think it's a very fascinating topic, and I would highly recommend doing some research on that. But yeah, I hope that you like this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you know anybody who might like this, then please share it. If you have anything you want to say, then please comment down below. And if you want to get notifications whenever I drop new content, then hit that little bell button. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.